Lindsay, we're starting. All set.
You all set?
You're
Yep.
live.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the July 17th, 2024 Inland Wetlands Agency regular meeting. Lisa, when you call the roll, please.
Daniel Bedecker.
Here.
Ranjit Bahav. Brian Black.
Here.
Jim Connors.
Here.
Matthew Connors. Nick Ritchie. Julie Valvo.
Here.
Buddy Field.
Here.
Brendan Magnan. Steve Munson.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Commissioner Field will be the voting alternate tonight. Let's see. As we continue to host remote meetings, I will take the opportunity to highlight a few guidelines to ensure business runs efficiently, that all statutory and administrative rules are followed. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. During this meeting, if members of the Inland Wetlands Commission would like to speak, please utilize the raise your hand feature via Zoom. All participants will be muted during the meeting unless recognized by the chair. After being recognized to speak, please state your name and address prior to making a statement. Speak only to items in the jurisdiction of the Milford Inland Wetlands Agency, including wetlands, brooks, rivers, flooding, and wetland habitat. Zoning issues are not under our review. Would everyone please stand for the pledge? Mary Rose, there's a flag there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and to the republic
for
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
justice for all.
and justice for all.
Item C, public comments. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak on an issue not on tonight's agenda? Once again, is there any member of the general public who would like to speak on any item not on our agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item D, old business. D1, IW 240045 for Wilhelm Court. Mary Rose?
This is the application for Wilhelm Court for the construction of a single-family home by R&R Living Trust with construction and grading within 150 feet of wetlands associated with the Beaver Brook watershed. Associated with Beaver Brook. The agency approved a single-family home on this lot at the time of the subdivision. The proposed house has a different configuration than what was approved. The agency saw an early version of this application in the spring. The property owners received a variance from the ZBA to move the house to the east, away from the conservation easement. This application proposes the house to be 7.6 feet off the conservation easement line and 27 feet from the wetland line that is adjacent to Beaver Brook. All work proposed is outside of the conservation easement on the property. I was at the site last week. The site had been cleared by the previous developer. Mr. Riz is the lot owner. He has had his contractor put in silt fencing with about a 1.5 foot pile of wood chips along the silt fencing, along the conservation easement fence to prevent any material from coming in that direction. They have been using the lot to store material. The adjacent lot is under construction. So there is material being stored there at this time, but the site is the erosion controls are up, the site's safe. The city engineer has reviewed the plans that were revised on June 24th, 2023. I'm sorry, 24. and has requested several corrections, including stormwater. The calculations, there's a discrepancy in the numbers. There's an issue with the invert elevations on their stormwater system. They're not consistent. And a change to the discharge location of the stormwater system overflow, and a revision of the cross section. And speaking with the engineer, while it's not his memo, he did say those things could be a condition of approval if the agency found them de minimis. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Riz is here this evening if the agency has any questions for him.
Rizzo, would you like to say something before we start?
No, I read the city engineer's letter, and as I read it, he gives me the feeling we're okay now, finally, except for a few calculation discrepancies. But as Mary Rose cited, he felt we could it could be part of the approval if the commissioners are so leaning in that direction. I'd like it to be that way if possible.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to share the recommendation section of that letter now?
Yes, please.
Okay, what you're seeing is from the memo dated 7/16 from the city engineer. And it just lists the items that city engineer needs some clarity on. Most of them are fairly easy to fix. There's a water volume quality volume calculation. As we discussed in our earlier applications, the city engineer would like to see a new test pit where this stormwater system is going to go, just because there's other lots in the subdivision that have had issues with water. The water table seems to have changed a bit since they were first done in 2020. And he wants to be sure that the bottom of the test pit of the stormwater systems aren't going to be sitting in or adjacent to stormwater, because that impacts their functioning. And he's okay with that being done as an excavation prior to pouring the foundation. He does recommend that there is no foundation or building permit issued until that work is done, to make sure that if any changes have to happen, that can be done and the correct paperwork can be on file as to where that system's going to go, or if it's going to be spread out, or how that's going to work. So he wants the plans revised for those discrepancies in the stormwater system. And I think that was it. That, and there was a minor a reference on the plan set to the old stormwater manual. So he would like that fixed as well.
Thank you. I guess, commissioners, the question is, would we, if we're going to approve it, do we want to approve it with these recommendations, or do we want to see something done before we approve it? I think that's the question before us.
I think we could approve it with those stipulations put in the approval.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, I concur also. I know usually in the plans, I like to see all the calculations up front, because usually that stuff gets forgotten when construction is started. And, and then later on, everyone goes, geez, I don't know how that happened. So I think if we make a requirement of the permit of all the calculations are correct, and it is shown on the plans, and it will give them motivation to get that done quickly, because the quicker that's done, the quicker they can get the permit. I do agree with the city engineer in regard to, before the footings are poured, to do that deep test pit, because if they find out they're not correct in their the elevations of the ground, it could change the amount of galleys that have to go in the front yard. Not that it could change the foundation, but you just never know. Each lot over there is a different creature in itself with the water levels.
Okay. Anybody else? And I think I tend to agree. I think, um, I'm inclined to, support okaying this as long as the city engineer's recommendations are included. I think that'd be fine. Does anybody have any other feelings about it, or?
Well, it's actually to the owner's benefit to make sure he doesn't have the basement below the water table because he'll have an ongoing
Right.
issue with it.
Yeah, right. Good
Don't want a
point.
swimming pool in the basement.
And it's not a good issue.
I agree, Mr. Chair.
Right. Okay, well, I guess we need a motion then.
I don't have the motions printed. Shame on me. Can Mary Rose read the motion and I'll make it?
Okay, this, through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Several motions were written, one for no action, one for having additional information, one for a site walk, one for a public interest, public hearing. I believe the Mr. Connors was interested in a motion to approve, and then we have a motion to deny.
A motion to approve with the stipulations put in the,
Okay, so
motion.
what was proposed was, Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application IW 240045 for Willem Court based on the plans entitled Lot 13, Miranda Meadows, 4 Willem Court, Milford, Connecticut, by D'Amico Associates, one sheet dated 12/29/23, revised 6/24/24. The information in the file and presented this evening. For the following reasons, this action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and water courses, with conditions including the permittee must submit the architectural plans and a construction plan prior to taking out the permit. Soil erosion and sedimentation controls as outlined in the plans and in the Connecticut DEP 2024 Erosion and Sedimentation Control Manual must be installed and maintained on the site until the property is stabilized. Wetland notification to be placed on the as-built and in the property deed to give notification to the property owners that permits are required from the MIWA to work on the site. Documentation to be submitted to the MIWA office prior to bond release to show such. Compliance with the city engineer's requirements as stated in his memo received 7/16/24, I'm sorry, received 7/17/24, dated 7/16/24. The permittee may not make any alterations to any structure, facility, or activity authorized by this permit unless the permittee applies for and receives a modification of the permit. A bond of $7,580 must be posted with the MIWA for soil erosion sedimentation controls, wetland boundary markers, and an as-built showing finished 2-foot contours and locating all site structures. The permittee must submit a certification by the project engineer that the completed project meets the design intent of the approval prior to the bonds being released. The permit is issued 7/17/24 and expires 7/17/29 unless otherwise provided by statute.
would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I
I
hear a
second
second?
it.
I'll second.
I second it.
Who seconded?
Field and Valvo.
We're so excited, sorry.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Lisa, would you call the roll, please?
Daniel Bedecker,
I'll have to abstain.
Brian Black,
Aye.
Jim Connors. Jim,
Yes.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
With emotion.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Riza, congratulations. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rizzo, your letter should go out tomorrow. If you have any other questions, please contact me or the city engineer.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. Item E1, IW 24005434 Pearl Street. Mary Rowe.
This is a proposal for an elevated single-family home at 34 Pearl Street by Pearl Street Development. They're proposing work within 22.9 feet of wetlands that have been identified as tidal by Jim McManus, a professional wetland scientist, but are located above the coastal jurisdiction line of 2.9 and are not regulated by Connecticut DEP. Therefore, the identified wetland can be regulated by the local inland wetland agencies. No work is proposed in the wetland. The proposed house is within 22.9 feet of the line. The silt fence with hay bale erosion control barrier is proposed within 6.7 feet of the wetland line. To construct the foundation, they are proposing to dewater into a dewatering sack placed on the anti-track pad on the driveway. Dewatering is important because dewatering discharge cannot be put into the marsh, a wetland, or a catch basin without additional permits from the city or from DEP. The plans have been sent to the city engineer for review. The agency is seeing this application for the first time this evening, and they can ask questions, request additional information, schedule a site walk, schedule a public hearing, although we've received no petition, or they can take no action. If it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll share that map with you now. And we have Mr. Aurelio here to speak to the application.
Aurelio?
Are you seeing that okay?
Yes.
can
What's
see
your
it.
opinion of this, Mary Rose?
This is a beach lot. We're off of East Broadway. You may be familiar, the developer did two houses across the street from this lot. Sorry. This is the Great Creek. Here's the dog pound. Oops, sorry, went a little too far. So it appears to be a small lot. It's actually like a lot and a half. The developer did these two houses across the street. My apologies, this thing's jumping all over. Did these two houses within the last 4 or 5 years, and is
Were there-
proposing something similar here.
Were there any issues when he did the houses across the street?
No, we had some erosion issues, and then the area here in the back where I'm circling, this is how it was before the houses were built, was a stand of Phragmites. They eventually got to the point where they were able to make a rain garden out of that. You know, we worked with them and the DEP to do that, as opposed to leaving Phragmites about 8 feet off the deck. They did a similar thing for a little bit of wetlands that was here in back of this house, and also made that a rain garden. On this plan, Mr. Dorelio is proposing a anti-track pad entrance. Again, it's a very small street. There's one house past this on the opposite side of the road. This parcel right here is City of Milford land. The wetland that we have jurisdiction of, this highlighter works, is in this area. And so we just want to make sure that the erosion controls are in and functioning. There's a bit of a drop. It's not depicted very well because it's spot elevations, but there's a bit of drop from here to where the wetlands are. So we want to make sure that this area is protected and stabilized. It's a tight lot. The developers understand that. We have a note for no stockpiling behind the home. So that can, any material that gets stockpiled back here once they finish developing can't get out. So down the beach, we have a rule that nobody stockpiles behind the houses. Stormwater is in trench drains around the structure. It's this stippled, bubbled area. And I think the architecturals for the house were also in the plan set.
Okay. So you don't, I don't see any issues. I guess you don't have any real issues with it either then.
No, it's more a function of making sure these wetlands are protected. You can see from I think it's this one.
It looks
This
like
is-
they're doing that with the hay bales and
Well, and that's the proposal. Right now, there's like a small sitting area here. There's kind of a couple of trees in front, and then there's a small sitting area in front of it. And it's not as overgrown. It's this one over here. Couple of trees and then a sitting area in the back, overlooking the creek.
we can't take any action on this tonight anyway, right?
No, because it's an application, because of its proximity, it has to go until the 7th of August. The applicant's also working through planning and zoning to do their CAM and get through that process.
I seem to remember, now that I'm looking at those pictures, I think I remember those two houses
I do too,
on the
Steve.
other across. Yeah, that's coming back to me. As I remember, there wasn't a whole lot
No,
to
they
be
did. I think they did
too
an okay
concerned
job.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was basically the tidal wetlands issue.
yeah. Sometimes our age is a good thing.
Which wasn't us. Mr. Dorilio, do you have anything to add to this? Would you like to say anything to us? Okay. Does anybody else have anything to say?
Mr. Chair,
There you go.
oh.
Ron, I think you're on mute if you wanted to speak.
Oh.
There we go. Oh, nope, you're back. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, you can hear me now?
We can
Yeah.
hear you now.
Okay, so I was saying, we had the city engineer review the project and he wrote a memo and I think we covered everything that he wanted. And for Stephen at zoning, we have very few issues. He just wants one more flood vent in the entryway. And other than that, he wants us to do a CAM meeting and a site plan review. I don't think there's any other issues he wants.
I don't think we need a site walk on this.
I don't believe so,
stretch it.
Mr. Chair.
I don't think so.
No, I agree. The plan actually looks pretty good, and I'm very familiar with the area. He did a nice hot job in the two houses across the street.
Mary Rose, has there been any feedback from the people in the area? Public?
No,
No, okay,
no, there has not.
okay. Well,
Just to table this to the next meeting.
yeah, we'll just wait, take no action. If anybody thinks of any questions that they might have, let Mary Rose know and she'll pass them along.
Okay, no, the plan looks pretty good.
Thank you.
Okay. So we take no action on that. Really, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ron.
you.
Let's see.
Generation of minutes.
Okay. I guess we'll move on to item F, consideration of minutes from previous meeting. Do I hear a
Make a
motion to
we
accept the
them.
minutes? Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Who was that, the second?
Brian Black.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Any discussion on the motion? Lisa, will you call the roll, please?
Daniel Bettiger,
Abstain.
Brian Black,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item G, staff report. Mary Rose. You're up.
Thank you. It's been fairly busy as the summer season moves on. Phone calls, emails, a lot of counter inquiries. We've been doing some minor reviews for sheds, decks, and pools, and doing some reports for other departments, working on various projects as required. We've had more inquiries and requests for the pool, sheds, and decks, and it's been busy. There's information in the notes about training opportunities. There haven't been any real changes. I did send out a notice that it is the Cacuic 50th anniversary, and that their what's the date? Their annual meeting will be in the same place as it was last year, which is the Bristol Event Center. And the date, I believe, is, and now I have to find it. I believe the date is November 15th. Just confirm that. And that is an all-day event. The city will pay for you to go. It's the 16th, my bad. So November 16th at the Bristol Event Center. Once we get the agenda, I'll send it out to everyone. There's usually some very good training and informational event opportunities at the event, and be hopeful that everyone can go. If there's any other training that you'd like to go to, please let us know. I've got some in the events. As I get information, I'll send it out to you. We're waiting on information on who's going to head the CRS audit team, and we'll fill you in on that when we get that. And that hazard mitigation is meeting next in 2 weeks. MS4 is moving forward, and a few projects have moved. We've gotten the last report, and I've done the final inspection on 8 Pepe's Farms Road. They are putting up their fence and their boundary marker signs, and we've suggested the tenant has a tendency to park on the snow shelf, and in the winter there can be erosion from the run over grass into the road that gets into the catch basin. Mrs. Held had said she would stone that snow shelf to stabilize it so that we don't have to worry about dirt going into the catch basin releasing right to the wetland. So we're about ready to release that violation. We just received this afternoon the as-built for Morehouse. I have to take a look at that. And I need to get out and look at Quarry Road because that's complete. The grass is stable. Otherwise, that's all we got. Does anyone have questions for me?
Nope.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Chairman's report. The next regular meeting will be August 7th, 2024, 7:30 by Zoom. I think that's it.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none. Lisa, please call the roll.
Daniel Bettiger,
Aye.
Brian Black,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Buddy Field,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you,
you all.
everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care. Have a good night,
Good night.
everyone.
See you in 3 weeks.
Take care.
Stay cool and dry.